Welcome to the LiteraryScape podcast, the only podcast that serves both readers and authors of historical Christian romance. We read, discuss, review, and rate books in this unique romance subgenre, and sprinkle in a few contemporary Christian suspense books. Authors, we bring you inside tips and tricks from those who have gone before you. Then we bring both readers and authors together for fun-filled live Q&As. LiteraryScape is the one-stop shop for both readers and authors to connect, learn, and grow together. Let's dive into this adventurous episode. Well, welcome back, everyone, to another Friday Book Club discussion. And today I'm really excited to have author Dana Mentink with us today. And she is brand new to the podcast. She writes cozy mysteries and she has suspense as well. So welcome, Dana.
Well, thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. Appreciate it.
Yes, it's always nice to meet new authors and introduce them to our listeners. And we are here today to talk about your book, Fire Mountain. And can you just kind of give us an overview of what that book is about?
Sure. It's about a young woman who owns a truck. She's a long-distance trucker, and she's preparing to leave because there's a volcano erupting. I mean, as any smart person would do, right? Get out. So she's driving out her last load, and there's suddenly an accident, and she wakes up injured. Her truck is crushed, and she doesn't know what happened. However, she is stuck in this eruption zone. And everyone has evacuated, and she hears this little noise from the back of her truck and discovers a baby, which is not her baby. So that begins the mystery and the suspense and kicks off our whole adventure novel there.
This is very interesting. I just have to ask, how did you choose her career?
You know what? It's pretty fascinating to me. I always kind of thought that was a pretty fascinating job, being able to just drive from place to place for a living. I follow a number of female independent truckers on social media, and it's just really fascinating to me how they have carved out a niche for themselves in a primarily male-dominated business and just made it their own. And how they make that work with family too. It's just really fascinating to me. So I've always kind of been interested in that as a lifestyle, though I know I could never do it very well because I have no sense of direction. So I would spend the whole time lost. The loads would never get there on time.
Be me. I'd always have to have my GPS going. That's
for sure. Absolutely.
So then did you reach out to them, the people that you follow, just to get some insight on the ins and outs, just to make it very accurate as you wrote?
I didn't, but here's a little funny thing. Mike hired a content editor to go through this outside the publisher just to make sure I had everything all as clean as possible. And she said, you know what? My husband is a long distance truck driver. So she told me, no, this isn't quite right, or that would be actually this way. So real handy, real handy. Yeah.
Wow, that's impressive. I mean, what are the odds, right?
What are the odds? God
feel
works in mysterious ways. He
Yep,
does.
that's what I was gonna say. I feel like he had his hand in that for you, for sure.
For sure, yes.
So you also chose a unique setting as far as being in the eruption zone for a volcano. So what made you choose that setting?
I think it goes back to 1980. I'm that old, yes. I was 12 when Mount St. Helens erupted. And that was really unprecedented, if I can use that overused word. And just watching that unfold in the news and just looking at how it started out as almost an entertaining thing. And then it turned into just a catastrophe in May. So that just made a deep impression on me. And I just thought, wow, how would that be to be trapped in an area where you really didn't know what was going to happen? You could not predict the behavior of the earth under your feet. So I thought that would be pretty fascinating to set a suspense novel there.
I like it because it's very unique. It's not often that you get that setting in any of the books, at least in our current genre. So I think you are aware that we do historical Christian romance, but then we do the contemporary Christian suspense romance. And I don't think we've read one book yet that deals with a volcano. So I like that you chose such a unique location. But tell us
I can give you a hot tip real quick here in that Elizabeth Goddard, the author, she's writing a series, and
Does it
hasn't
really?
come out yet, but I can't wait.
Oh my goodness, because we just had her on the podcast talking about, I think, her
Oopsie,
recent series.
maybe I wasn't supposed to say that. Was that
Oh,
a
that's okay.
spoiler? I hope I didn't just give something away, Liz. Forgive me.
I'm sure you didn't. It's just a setting, right? I mean, I don't know. I'm wondering if it has to do with her newest, maybe her newest. You said it
Believe
isn't
it's
out
her
yet.
Alaska series. Does she have an Alaska series?
I think
I
I
think that's
think
what she was
so.
telling me. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's exciting. That is exciting. Can you tell us a little bit about your hero in the story?
Sure. Cullen Landry, retired SWAT cop. He has had some bad things happen for which he is still not really recovered from that. And he should have evacuated too, but he's out there helping his friends, making sure he's buttoning up the house, and he happens to see her truck go off the side. And because he can't walk away, he goes down there and helps her, and then he winds up embroiled in this crazy experience with her. So he's a good guy. I like him. He has a lot of weird quirks and foibles, but he's a good, solid hero.
What's one of his quirks?
Well, he absolutely, well, I'll just hint at it. He has a little bit of a fear of a certain type of rodent that they are going to encounter. And he wants to be manly, but he doesn't like this sort of rodent. So he doesn't come off well in that scene, according to, yeah, he's just a little fearful.
Hey, I understand. Many of us do not care for the rodent family.
You're right, right.
Okay, so I read a little bit on the book. I haven't been able to read it yet, but they obviously end up they're running for their lives at some point in the story. And then there's this mystery of where did this baby come from? And so I am just
Right?
curious. You
Yeah.
don't have to give anything away, but I am just curious kind of how you came up with that storyline.
Well, there were just a lot of elements in there that I had been thinking about. And I was thinking about if you're alone in the wilderness and you have no help and you have no technology and you have no shelter, what would be the most difficult thing? And I think it would be if you were responsible for another life. And particularly a very fragile life like a baby, and particularly if you have zero maternal skills. Like you've never had a baby, you've never babysat a baby, you don't have any idea what to do with this baby. So I thought, well, that would be a really interesting exploration of how a person would rise to that occasion and how God would help that person be strong enough to handle everything coming at.
That is awesome. They always talk about in writing, you want to put lots of obstacles in place, but that allows your character to grow. You just never make things easy for your main character. And it sounds like that's exactly what you did. You made it very difficult for
It's
her.
a pretty hard time for those poor characters, but not all of them are going to make it through, but most of them do.
Yeah. I'm just curious, are you a plotter, a pantser, or somewhere in between?
I'm definitely a plotter because, I sell on proposal, right? So the publisher requires a synopsis. So if you have to write a synopsis, you pretty much know what the plot's going to be, at least the big points. So yeah, I start with the plot and work my way from there.
I find that every author has their own unique writing, I don't want to say ritual, but like pathway, I guess. Or yeah, method. There. That's better. My brain will get the right word in just a minute here.
You're doing great.
Definitely everyone has their own unique method, and I feel like everybody kind of maybe picks the best from others a little bit for that
Sure.
as well. But now this is the first book of this series, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And how many books will be in this series?
Well, that's a good question. Two at the moment, hopefully three. We'll see how it goes. The next one is March of 2026, and that one is set in a town where the dam is failing. So it's a catastrophic flood, unfortunately, coming. So that's the second book in that series.
Okay. And are your settings fictional or do you try to use real settings?
I would say they're real adjacent, right? It's this book would take place at our mountain in Skamania County, which is where the Mount St. Helens is. But is there a Mount Ember? No.
Yeah.
It's all
Yeah.
fictionalized.
Okay. And okay, so you said there might be there could be three in this series. Now, are they connected, like your readers need to read book 1 before they can read book 2, or are they more standalone?
You could easily read them out of order, but I suppose it would make most sense if you read Fire Mountain first and then Raging Waters. But they're linked books. They share a few characters, but they're really distinct plots and setting.
Okay. And so I'm just curious. It sounds like each of them are based around a natural disaster. So if there's a book 3, would that also be based
It
around that?
would, and the question is, what would we choose, right? I mean, goodness sakes.
Yeah. Have you done a lot of research then on the flooding part for book 2?
Well, we're still in the process with that, but yes, I mean, the
Okay.
more researching, the better. Unfortunately, it's just been terrible to watch flooding occurring in real life. I mean, it's definitely devastating, and I never would
Mhm.
want to make light of that or
Right.
trivialize that in fiction. So it kind of pains my heart that the next book
Yeah.
was about a flood when there's so much pain and anguish right now about the floods and the Mystic Camp and that kind of thing.
Yes. Yes, definitely. That's been kind of tragic to watch. And then it feels like not that long ago we had the floods in the Carolinas and um
Right.
yeah.
Right. It's just devastating.
Yeah. Now, on a lighter note, I do want to point out to our listeners that you also write cozy mysteries. Can you just
I
share a little bit
do.
about those?
Yeah, you can see them right above my head on the bookshelf there. They're the colorful, fun ones. So they are, it's set to, a gal owns an ice cream shop and she moves back to the town where her ex-husband lived, and then she discovers that he has many other ex-wives there that she didn't know about. So it's a fun, funny series. The first one's called Pint of No Return. So they're all kind of ice cream themed, a
Mhm.
sprinkle in time, thrown for a scoop. It's just fun. It's good fun. And hopefully a good exercise in problem solving. That's the difference between mystery and suspense, which I enjoy, is mystery is a puzzle to be put together, and suspense is more like you're running for your life. So it's kind of an interesting exercise to write mystery. I started in mystery, so it was really fun to do that series.
And would you agree that your suspense has an element of mystery to it as well?
Hopefully, if I did my job well, there's something that's unknown that's discovered towards the end. But readers are savvy, boy, they're really hard to fool. They oftentimes find out right away what I'm plotting and planning. So
Yeah.
kudos to the readers.
Yeah, especially your avid readers, readers of your genre, because that's just how their brain is thinking as they're
Absolutely.
reading.
They're
So,
waiting for that twist.
yeah. Now, we love romance here. So what would you rate your romance level in the book?
You mean in terms of the balance between suspense and romance, or
Yeah. Yeah. Do you feel like it's pretty equal or do you feel like it's more heavy on the suspense side?
I think it's heavier on the suspense side myself. I'd say about maybe 60-40.
Okay.
But I'd be interested to know what readers think about that. I mean, I think they're both pretty integral parts of the story, but just because it's a wilderness survival story, I think it errs on the side of plot.
Mhm. Definitely. Just from what I've read and then kind of what you shared on it, I can see that it would be heavier on that suspense piece of it. But obviously moments to grow closer together too as you face trials together. So, yeah. Well, what other unique, I don't know, either things you've come across while researching or things that kind of happened while you were writing or deleted scenes, anything interesting or fun facts for this book, Fire Mountain?
Well, volcanoes are pretty fascinating because we don't have a lot of them in the US, right? So it was really interesting for me to read and to learn about things, limnic eruptions, basically when a lake explodes, right? A deadly release of gas and pyroclastic flows and that sort of thing. Really interesting because you've got multiple problems. You've got quakes, you've got noxious gases, you've got landslides. It's pretty much the ground unreliable under your feet. It was really interesting to learn about all the perils, honestly. And I think we learned a lot from Mount St. Helens that has informed us in how to handle a volcanic eruption should another occur. But that was pretty unprecedented. So they were just learning about that at the time.
Yeah. Yeah. And I love that you know all of that stuff too. And so do you ever just speak on that topic just because you know quite a bit about it? like at a book club or?
I feel like I kind of am a jack of all trades and master of none kind of deal, you know. I know a little bit about a lot of things, but I would not consider myself an expert enough to talk about it. But it's interesting to just share tidbits.
Yeah, yeah. So do you write full time then?
I do. I taught elementary school for years and years part-time, and then I would write part-time. But then I decided, well, golly, it's time to just give this a go full-time. So I've been doing that for about 5 years full-time, although I've been writing for 25 years anyway, so I feel like I've been doing it all the time forever. Anyway,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's impressive. I will say I used to teach elementary myself, and I'm currently serving as principal slash director of curriculum. So it's a little different
Oh,
role,
that's a
but
heavy-duty job.
it is. I'm just dipping my toe in it right now. But I have to ask, what grades did you teach?
Primarily third, though I did second through fifth, that kind of a range, but
Yeah,
they're so little and adorable and yeah.
yeah,
Challenging, of course, too.
yes,
But it
yeah,
was fun to work with little children and try to convince them that you are a writer. Just because you don't know how to spell everything and you don't know about a semicolon, you are a writer if you have a story to tell.
yeah.
And that was just really fun to see them kind of embrace that.
Yeah. Yeah. They are always a joy. I think their innocence, excuse me, is always just kind of lights you up, kind of
And
we
their
tend to get caught.
enthusiasm.
Yes,
Yes.
we tend to get caught in the heavy stuff and forget just the light, fun
Yeah,
innocence of the world.
absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
yeah. And I have to ask, because you're bringing in a baby in Fire Mountain, will we see any other kids enter into the series?
Well, you never know. There's not a baby in book two, I'll tell you. They don't have a baby in that book, so we'll see about book three.
Okay.
I think it's just that was a unique and novel exploration for myself because, like, how would
Mhm.
you keep a baby alive? But I
Yeah.
don't know if I'd want to try to do it in multiple
Yeah,
scenarios.
that is true. That is true. Did you have a favorite character that you wrote or created?
In this particular novel,
Yeah.
I guess probably Cullen because he is a manly man, but he's also really good with babies and he's just a nurturer, contrary to his persona. And he's just a kind of unique view of the world. So I did enjoy him very much.
It's always I assume you're working on book 2 now.
We're just doing some rewrites.
Yeah. And it's always interesting. I feel like every time we ask that question of an author, like who's your favorite, it's generally a character from the book they're in now. It's like I fall in love. Are you that way too? You
Oh,
fall in
yes,
love
for
with who
sure.
you're writing?
When people say, "What's your favorite book that you've written?" you say, "The one that I'm working on now." Because that's where your passion is, and there's some that are more special, maybe that just were like books of the heart versus books of the head.
Mhm.
But you're always really engrossed in the one. It's like whatever your project you're working on is the most interesting, right?
Yeah.
Not the project
Yeah.
that you finished.
I know that one's done, right? And you're ready for
Yeah,
the
put
the
that one
next
on the
new
shelf
thing.
there. Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
So I have to ask, what is your favorite genre, or do you have a couple different genres that you really enjoy reading?
I'm gonna always go with a mystery thriller suspense kind of a deal. I don't want to know everything in the beginning. I like romance too, but I like better when there's a crime involved, honestly. Yeah, so that would be I pretty much like anything as long as it's well written, it's not graphic, that kind of thing. So, but definitely, I'm reading The Maid right now. Is that the title? It's a mystery, and the protagonist is a maid, and she has an autistic kind of a situation going there. But it's just really interesting to read how the mystery writer is pulling that all together.
That does sound actually very interesting.
Really good book.
Awesome. Do you have favorite authors that you tend to fall back on, or a favorite classic that you really enjoy?
It's funny, I've been having trouble sleeping lately, and I just had this strong urge to listen to The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe again. Audiobook. Isn't that silly? Like, I haven't read that since fifth grade. But it's just that world building, I just adore it. And so it's been lovely to hear it read to me. It's been
Mm-hmm.
very soothing. So I
Yeah.
keep falling asleep though, is the problem. I got to start listening to it when I'm not tired because I always fall asleep right around the end of chapter 3. And I want to hear about Edmund and the Queen and the Turkish delight, and I keep falling asleep right before that. So I gotta do better.
Yeah. Well, at least it's soothing.
It
I
is. It's like
love
an
it.
old, a warm blanket,
Hmm.
comfort,
Yeah.
comfort.
Yeah. I have a colleague of mine that he reads that series to his class every year. And I think, well, don't you want to like explore a different series? And he's like, I just love it so much. He
So
loves
much
reading
in
them.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So awesome. Well, I loved chatting with you about your book, Fire Mountain, but I would love for you to share how our listeners can connect with you.
Well, DanaMentink.com, that's the old trusty website with all the books and descriptions and all of that. If you want to know me more, my personality and my silliness, that would be Instagram. You can find me on Instagram. That's always a fun place to hang out with a lot of other people on Instagram too. Lots of other authors, Christian authors. It's really fun. And Facebook, you can find me there too. I don't do much on Twitter, so I guess those are the main places you can find me.
Do you have a newsletter as well?
I do. You can sign up for that on the website. That goes out once a month is all I can manage because there's a lot of stuff in that newsletter.
Yeah.
So lots of goodies and always a video report on how things are going at Mentink Manor. So there's always something strange happening here. Last month it was a reptile show, but you have to go back and hear that later. You don't want
Wow.
to trust
Yes.
me. Wow, wild.
Is that posted on your website?
Is it posted on my web? No, the newsletters aren't posted on the website, but some of the shenanigans find their way to Instagram though. So
Okay. So definitely check out your website and you can follow links there, then I assume to your Instagram and Facebook as
yes,
well.
ma'am.
Okay. And it sounds like you have a very entertaining newsletter. So,
We
listeners, it
try.
sounds like,
We try.
yeah, sounds like you need to sign up for Dana's newsletter to keep in touch there. So awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us today and bringing this new read to us.
It was my pleasure, and thank you for chatting with me.
Thanks for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If so, please consider signing up for our free newsletter. Each week, you'll receive news about our events for both readers and authors, plus updates on my books. You can sign up at LiteraryScape.com/newsletter. Until next time, happy and blessed reading and writing.